Well, dozens of you reached out to us today about a Facebook post that claims pets are mistreated at Puppy Zone on Kingston Pike. Misty Lawrence made the post after visiting the store in West Knoxville over the weekend. It now has more than 31,000 shares and more than 2,300 comments.
And reporter Sean Franklin reached out to Puppy Zone and Knoxville police in this 10 Listens report. Sean?
Robin, Brandon, Knoxville animal control officers visited the store twice today to look at the dogs. They say they regularly inspect the store. KPD says the dogs are in good health, but Misty Lawrence isn't happy with what she saw this weekend. Misty Lawrence says the pictures she took of dogs at Puppy Zone disturb her.
We went to walk around and I was like, this is not okay to me.
She shared her concerns on Facebook. As of Monday evening, the post had more than 31,000 shares and more than 2,400 comments. Lawrence is from Nashville and says she stopped by the store Saturday while visiting her daughter in Knoxville.
To wake multiple dogs up that had their eyes either open while they were laying there or with their eyes rolled back, the dogs would not respond to me.
She went as far as to say in her post that some of the dogs seemed drugged.
It's very upsetting to me because I couldn't even imagine my dog coming from a place like that.
Knoxville Animal Control stopped by the pet store twice Monday, where they checked the dogs and talked with owner Steve Glatz. KPD says those officers found the dogs were in good health.
We've never had an issue with animal control or any of the bodies that govern us.
Glatz says a veterinarian does a full health inspection on the dogs every 3 weeks. He addressed Lawrence's concerns about some of the animals being sleepy and unresponsive.
The average puppy sleeps about 18 hours a day. It means if you see a puppy, there's a 75% chance they're asleep.
He says his employees treat the animals like their own.
I'm not tired of people that love animals. Their hearts are in the right place. They just don't know us. If they would have taken 10 minutes to talk to any one of our employees, or myself, they would have left here with a different opinion.
But Lawrence says she'll continue to speak up.
I'm not going to sit here and just let this continue to happen.
Glatz says he's always looking to make his store better and is open to suggestions. Guys, back to you.
All right, Sean, thank you.